Hello and welcome to episode 2 of my Battlestar Galactica Deadlock playthrough. Today I'll be playing the second mission, and we start off here on the strategy room. This is a map of the 12 colonies. Here we have our fleet, represented by our little mother station, our space station, the Daedalus. And here's our mission. So we get the little briefing from Agathon here, a little information about it, and also the rewards we'll get, the two currencies of this main campaign, but we won't talk about them right now. Okay, so as the continued tutorial is instructing me, to actually get our ship there, we click on our fleet, click jump, and click where we want to go to. So in this case, we want to be going to the colony Pycon. That's where the mission is. Confirm jump. And then we just end the turn, jumps us across, and because there's a mission on this planet, it immediately jumps into it. So here we go, into the mission. Now this is actually a very clever mission, still being the tutorial, because right at the offset gives you a little taster of what you'll get if you stick around in the game. This little thing here attached to our mothership, I'll show you better in a second, is a Battlestar. The Battlestar Athena, actually. Same class as the Jupiter. And considering these are still early game enemies we're going to be facing, Nemesis and additionals, and so far all we've used is the Manticores, which is the base ship, giving us a taste of the most powerful ship in the game, and one of the most fun to use. Yeah, like I said, very clever level design just to get you hooked into the game. Now this grid here is a part of most missions. When you jump into a mission, like we just did, we jumped from one planet at the last mission into this one. At the start of the mission, you get to position your ships. So you get this little grid, and you can adjust where your ships start from. So the Daedalus is just going to, we're just going to leave that be. And the Battlestar is still attached at the moment, so I can't move it. I'm going to move my two Manticores into flanking, and you can actually adjust the velocity, not velocity, height. Of course, being in space, height is relative, of where they start on the field. So I'm just going to keep them fairly tight to the Battlestar. Oh, that's a bit too tight. Alright, and proceed. Jump into the mission. And we'll get the little animation of them actually jumping in. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Okay, quick overview of the battle. I have no idea what those coordinates you just said were, but you know what? I don't care. When press escape to skip. That's good to know. All right, here we go. The Battlestar Athena, Jupiter class, big, heavy. Look at this armor; it's incredible. And also, unlike the Manticores, this has squadrons. So that's like fighters and utility craft, Vipers and Raptors. So to start off, the very first thing we're going to do is actually launch all our squadrons. So the Daedalus has 2. The Jupiter class has 3 squadrons, but one of them is always utility, so it's a Raptor in this case. And now let's actually move our ships towards these enemy contacts. Now, all ships get this little button here, the boost thrusters, because as you can see, while the Battlestar is very powerful, it's very slow because it's very heavy. So if we just boost the thrusters, that'll actually get us into combat a little fast. Now, in the later levels, when you actually have regular access to these instead of being granted it specially for the mission, I would not rush into battle because the class of enemy is a lot harder to deal with, but it's just level 2 of the tutorial, so yeah, these aren't going to be much issue. I'm going to keep our manticores on the same level with them. I think I'll drop their altitude just a little bit, put them beside the Battlestar. I think that's all we need for turn 1, so end turn. Not much happening on this first one. If we have a quick look at the enemies, we only have 3 on this one. We can see these 2 turning into us. And this one, however, is very annoying. From previous playthroughs, I know that this is a nemesis, and what it's going to do, it's going to skirt right round here behind the Daedalus and sort of just swing through here, and it's so annoying because the Battlestar is so slow, it's never going to catch up. The Manticores are slower and hard. They're on their own, they will struggle against a Nemesis. I'd have to divert 2 of them because Nemesis have an ability to hack your ships and interfere with the subsystems. The tutorial is wanting me to access the command panels for this, so it wants to explain about posture, which I did in the previous video. Yeah, we're not gonna bother with that actually in this one. We're just gonna leave them at neutral posture to get maximum distance. Now, if you see here, we've got squadrons, these little ghosts here, the Vipers, and the Raptor. Now, this grid here is its greatest range, it's space radar basically, and the sooner we can identify the ship, because at the moment it just says unidentified, the sooner we identify it, the sooner we can fire missiles at it and actually deal with it. So I'm going to move the Raptor over here, so it'll be able to scan the ship as it passes over, and then we'll be able to fire missiles at it and just take it out from a distance. In the meantime, we're just going to keep these ships moving forward. The Vipers are currently set to defend both the Daedalus and the Jupiter. So if I click on the 2 from the Daedalus up here in the corner, as you can see it highlights these, or I can do this. I can reassign them, because the Daedalus isn't in any danger in this one, so I'm going to reassign them to the Lancer. And they will defend it, so any missiles that get shot at it, they will shoot down. Any enemy squadrons, enemy fighters that attack, they will defend them. Enter. Yeah, first few turns of this particular mission are a little boring, it's just getting in contact. But here we go. A tiny unidentified contact. And we can see its ghost here. Cylon Squadron, a War Driver Squadron. So these War Drivers don't actually attack directly, they don't have guns or missiles. What they do is they hack your ships. And now it's wanting me to launch my squadrons, but I've already done that, so who cares? Do you know what? There's not actually much to change on this turn, except maybe, yep, move the Raptor further along the intercept course. We've still not identified any of the ships, so we can't fire missiles at them, because missiles have to be guided. We'll leave them for now. End turn. As we can see, our ships are firing at the enemy squadron. They're not very accurate because they're using capital guns against a squadron. But do you know what? That's what our Vipers are for. And if we click on the Ghost of our Viper, we can see it's actually targeting the War Driver. And it's already doing some damage. No problem. And we've actually identified our first ship. This is different from the Nemesis that we saw in the first level. This is a Talon. And I'll click on it in a moment once it's... Oh, come on. Stupid tutorial. Okay, defend the Lancer. Okay, just have to go through the steps so it doesn't let me progress. If I click on the Talon, here we get some information about it. As you can see, it's launched its War Driver Squadron, which is over here. And its main role is just as a light carrier. It always carries just one squadron. It has very light armor, as you can see, only 20. It's fairly easy to take down. Its weapons, again, very light, so it's not an issue. And here we have a set piece that's from like the story of the campaign of the mission. I don't really care about that at the moment. It's not a threat to us. Okay, now can we start shooting at it? Let's check our range. Look at that. So as you can see, the Jupiter, being a Battlestar, has a much greater weapons coverage than the Manticores. For a start, it has broadsides. Also has this ring here that you can see spinning around. That means it has guns on top and below the ship. Now, with all Battlestars, most of the guns are on the top side. Because it's boosted, the range is significantly reduced. So if we cancel boost, bang, look at that range. It's insane. And it's almost already covering the Talon, even though we're so far away. If I put it into attack posture, just that much closer, it'll start firing almost immediately. Actually deactivate the range because that's a bit annoying. And you know what, we'll focus fire, so even though it's not in range, that's, yeah, it doesn't matter, it will be soon enough. Same for the Manticores. If I double click, we can put them into attack. Okay, now if we check our Raptor by clicking on its icon, that'll bring us straight to it. We have identified the Nemesis, which is skirting around and is being a nuisance. Now, the Raptor has many utility abilities, and one of them is to board enemy vessels, which, as we can see, will do damage to the ships as a baseline. So it'll reduce its guns, it'll make it harder to repair stuff, and processing power is similar to posture. It's the Cylon version, and a Raptor boarding it will reduce the processing power. And we'll also fire some rockets for good measure. Not enough to destroy the ship, just enough to do some damage. And if we actually go over to our main fleet here, fire munitions, they can target any ship on the field so long as it is identified. And we'll also put our Battlestar munitions on it. You'd think the Battlestar would have heavier guns, but it's just using the same type of munition, the same type of missile, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. Alright, and I believe end turn. Ah, now, hacking. We finally get an example of it. I will explain it after the turn. If the War Driver Squadron is actually left alive. Ah, there it is. So, hacking. Many Cylon ships, namely the Nemesis, the War Driver, and some others later on, have the ability to attack your ships directly. If we look at the posture page, so when we alter the slider, as you can see, it moves these around, and you can see the different things they do. So the engineering reduces damage and such like, increases squadron repair. The armory, well, that helps in case heavy raiders, that's basically the Cylon version of the Raptor, invade your ship, it fights them off. Navigation, how you move around, fire control, how you shoot. Tech bay, your Dradus, your radar, and the hangar is defected. When a Cylon ship hacks you, they directly attack these systems. Now, usually the only way to damage these systems is to strip the ship of its armor and start attacking it directly. Hacking completely ignores these, so usually the hack will first go after something like fire control, and if they manage to successfully hack this, then this ship will barely be able to fire. It'll have an enemy ship will have to be about as close as this for you to actually hit it, and obviously that is an issue. You can repair a hack, but it takes time, so it's better just to destroy the hacking ship in the first place. Now, usually I would put the ship onto defensive posture, which would increase the firewall, which defends against hacking, but because this is going to be taken out so quickly, I'm not even going to bother. It doesn't make much of a difference. So we'll just leave that as is now. And they're not actually attacking the war driver, so I'll change that. And if we see here, in the last turn, this Nemesis launched a bunch of torpedoes, not torpedoes, missiles at the Lancer. Because we have these two Vipers defending it, they are currently trying to shoot down these missiles. These are Mark 1 Vipers. They're not that good at it, but they're better than nothing. If I put the Lancer on defensive posture, it'll reduce the missile damage. Once we've dealt with the Talon, we'll just focus on that. We're firing. As we see, we've got all our missiles shooting off here after the Nemesis, which is currently boarded. There's a lot to talk about this turn. Wow, hadn't realized. So here we get a little rundown of how our boarding party that were on the Raptor are actually doing. The Centurions are the defense, and the boarding party, our Marines, are how they're doing. So Nemesis is a small ship, doesn't have much defense against boarding. Our Marines are doing their job, and they'll start attacking the subsystems, which we saw in the posture menu, and just start doing a lot of damage to this. Ideally, they'll focus on navigation, but it is random, so I can't actually control it. You can actually affect the strength of the boarding party by affecting the posture of the main ship. So if I go to posture, you see armory, boarding strength of the outboard team on the Raptor is affected by posture. Somehow, posture of the crew here affects them. Don't know how. Because the boarding isn't so important, I'm leaving it on attack. But if I put it on max defense, that'd just give them a great big strength boost. But I'm more focused on attacking the ships around the Battlestar, around the Athena. Don't feel the need to move these ships yet. We're still focused fire. Okay, I think it's time to end the turn. And we'll quickly watch and see if the Vipers can shoot down any missiles before they hit the Lancer. And turn. Nope, seems not. They just haven't got the speed. But have a look at this. Yeah, this thing, it does so much damage. Just these guns on the top of it here, as you can see the little placements, they just shred apart anything that's on the top. It's a big deal. Okay, War Driver Squadron's almost done. Wasn't able to successfully hack the Athena, so it didn't do any damage. We've barely taken any damage at all. Now let's have a look at our missiles. Still haven't reached the Nemesis. Boarding party, they're beginning to lose strength. They're not doing much. Nah, not worried. And once these two have actually dealt with the War Driver, I'll actually send them over to the Nemesis in the corner. And squadrons, fighters, can actually do a surprising amount of damage to a capital ship. If left alone, especially if it has poor defense, point defense, like a Nemesis. But yeah, not much. So enter. And yep, see how it's melting. And it's gone. Immediately focusing on this. A little piece of story we don't need to worry about. And it wants to talk about flak. Flak is an ability that Battlestars have, where basically they fire a flak field. I'll activate it so you can see what it does. Basically, this ship fires any missiles or munitions at us, they'll get caught in the flak field and destroyed before they can hit the ship, which is very useful when you haven't got enough Vipers to actually shoot them down beforehand, or you can't dodge or anything like that. Now, the problem with flak fields is that it does damage any of your own squadrons that get caught in it, but these two are... they're going after it. They're outside the flak field, as we saw by the little bubble earlier. I'm actually going to switch their target, though, make them turn around. We'll go after this. And actually, let's just double check on this boarding party. Yep, as you can see, they're beginning to wear down the Centurions. So we go back to the Jupiter. If we turn our manticores around so that their guns are actually facing the ship, that'd be better. As you can see, Lancer lost a lot of armor from the barrage it took earlier that these guys couldn't where are they? These guys couldn't shoot down. But yeah, it's not a problem. We'll just turn it to the other side, and then it'll have to shred through all of this armor or this armor before it can start affecting the hull. So yeah, not worried. Highlight all our ships. Focus fire. Increase the accuracy. And turn. So here we go. Here is the flak field. If this fired missiles at the Athena, they got cut up in here and destroyed before anything else. And I believe you can keep this up indefinitely. It is affected by posture, so it's weakened because we're on attack posture and it's a defensive thing. Doesn't matter, I was just demonstrating it for you. If you follow the series, you'll eventually see me use it when I unlock Battlestars in the campaign proper, not the tutorials. Just make sure my ships aren't running into each other. Nope, this will be over here by that point, but I will slow it down a bit. I'll rotate this and lower it so it has better angle of fire. Not that this is going to be around much longer anyway. Just want to avoid a collision, because collision will destroy the ship outright, no matter its amount of armor. Well, at least if they're the same class. And let's focus on the other one. So as we can see, the missiles it took earlier went through its rear armor and has gone straight into the hull. And it seems that our boarding party are doing their job and are affecting navigation, so this ship is now much slower, which is what we want from a Nemesis, as we've seen they're very fast. But yeah, we'll just leave it be. We've got some Vipers on the way, they'll catch up to it and destroy it. The Daedalus, even if I put it on attack stance, it wouldn't be able to reach that far, so it's not a problem. Slight concern is that this might launch missiles at the Daedalus, but it has so much health this thing couldn't do any damage. Alright. Let's just watch the rest of the battle. End turn. Yep. There we go, it's gone. It is still trying to attack the Lancer, but it's just hitting the armor. Not an issue. Said that set piece would show up in the story later. I also said I didn't care. There's my proof. Skip. Now, neutral posture, increased speeds, not that it'll matter, because these things will reach it long before, and they don't even need to. We've got the Vipers on the way from earlier, and do you know what? The Raptor has limited attack capabilities. I'm going to disengage it. So it will leave the Nemesis, the boarding party will leave, and just start shooting at it from behind, and since it has no rear armor, it should go down quite fast. Turn. See, it's disengaged, and it started shooting. It's not doing much damage, but it's doing enough. Nemesis, I don't even think it has rear-facing guns, so this isn't in any danger. Should have saved the rockets for now instead of launching them earlier like it did, but you know what, never mind. Yeah, the rest of this mission is just hunting down this Nemesis. Don't know why it skirts all the way around like this. It's very annoying, I have to chase it down. Yeah, I'll make for an interesting cinematic, hopefully. I wonder if the Raptor can destroy it before the Vipers reach. Let's see. And once it finishes loading next turn. Oh, and it seems the Raptor can. Well done. Boom. End of the level. All contacts cleared. Hooray! Okay. So, after battle report, let's have a quick look. Daedalus obviously did nothing, but his fighters inflicted a bit of damage. The Lancer, because it lost some armor, it did lose some hull points. That's why the screen bar's lower. Didn't get any kills. Same with the Persis. Did some damage, but no kills. But yeah, look at what the Jupiter did. It did more damage with its guns alone than the two Manticores did together. And that's, yeah, it did. Look at what its fighters did as well. Yeah, it's a beast. And we don't get another one until at least mission 12, I think it is. So we don't get another Jupiter for quite a while. Ingenious putting it in the second mission to give us a taste and make us thirsty for what's to come. Alright, time for the replay. We get shots of the Vipers launching. A lot of flying around for this level because, as we just saw, it takes a while for the combat to get going. And we get some chatter from the pilots.
Escort clearance zone intact.
Priority 1 is in safe hands. That's them firing at the war drivers.
That secondary battery. Full attack mode. Fire at will.
As do our Vipers now. And this is the Raptor firing those rockets that I should have saved for the end. As the war drivers dealt with. Oh. It's the Lancer taking its hits. And that's from the Nemesis that flanked rounds. But like I said, so little damage against the Battlestar, it doesn't really matter. Just look at that. It's not very accurate, the Battlestars. But when you're doing so much damage, you don't need to be accurate. And it is better when they're meant to fight bigger ships, really. Corvettes are, yeah, usually best left to smaller things, like the Manticore. So, as long as what does hit does damage. And it does. Ah, poor Lancer. Seems to be attracting all the damage. And here we go. This is the Raptor after it's disengaged. Yeah, it just took so much damage from the missiles earlier that even Raptors, support craft, can eventually chip away at it. Ah, perfect timing over the star like that. Beautiful. Okay, there we go. Thank you very much for watching episode 2 of my Deadlock playthrough series. I appreciate that most of you are my big sister's friends, but you know what? I appreciate you watching anyway. Thank you very much, and see you next time.